Hey man, let's stop pretending that being constantly available makes her feel secure. It doesn't. It makes her bored. It makes her restless. It makes her feel like you've got nothing better to do than orbit around her life, her mood swings, her schedule. And while you think you're being loyal, dependable, the good guy, she's slowly losing respect for you. Because here's the brutal truth. A man who is too available is a man who doesn't value his own time. And when you don't value your time, neither will she. You're there every time she calls. You reply instantly. You cancel plans to make time for her. You prioritize her over your goals, over your peace, over your mission. And what does that do? It makes her feel like she already has you locked down. And when a woman feels like she's got you too easily, she stops chasing. She stops valuing. She stops wondering if she could lose you, because you're always there, always online, always replying, always ready. And that's not attractive. That's repulsive. Too much availability is the slow death of attraction, not because you're not good enough, but because you made yourself too easy to reach. You gave her emotional security without emotional investment. She didn't have to earn it. She didn't have to fight for it. And that which is given freely is rarely valued deeply. You think your consistency will win her love, but it won't. Because what she really respects is a man who doesn't hand out access like it's on clearance. The truth is, women crave the presence of a man who has purpose, a man who has something to do, somewhere to be, someone to become, not because he's ignoring her, but because he values himself first. And when she sees that, she leans in, because now she doesn't feel like she owns you. She feels like she has to earn you. And that difference? It's the difference between being her fallback or being her obsession. You want her to respect you? Then stop responding like your life is on pause, waiting for her. Stop answering every hey with energy like she's your priority. Stop being the man who jumps just because she texts. Be the man who checks his phone after the gym, after the grind, after your discipline. Because when you put her second to your mission, she puts you first in her mind. That's how it works. She values what's hard to get, not what's always on demand. Too much availability kills polarity. And polarity is what creates attraction. Masculine energy is stillness, purpose, direction. Feminine energy is motion, emotion, chaos. When you become her emotional support system instead of her emotional balance, she sees you as less of a man and more of a pillow. Comfortable, maybe, but never respected. Let's get something straight. Respect comes before love. A woman may like you, she may even love you, but if she doesn't respect you, none of it matters. And if you're constantly available, constantly saying yes, constantly showing up with zero resistance, she stops seeing you as a challenge. And women don't love men they pity. They love men they respect. And respect is built on discipline, not desperation. You become desirable when you become unreachable, not because you're ghosting, but because your energy is occupied. You've got goals, projects, vision, peace, and now your time is scarce. And what's scarce becomes valuable, and what's valuable becomes respected. And when she finally gets your attention, it means something. It has weight, because she knows it's not just handed out, it's earned. If you're always around, always emotionally available, always texting first, always giving, you're bleeding energy for someone who hasn't even proven they can handle it. And over time, she'll start to test you. She'll pull back just to see if you chase. She'll become distant just to watch if you fold. And if you do, she loses respect. Not because you weren't kind, but because you didn't know your value. You've got to become the man who values his own time so deeply that even she has to adjust her behavior to fit your schedule. She should feel lucky to spend time with you. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're focused. You've got things to do, people to impact, a legacy to build. And if she wants to be part of that, she has to meet you at your level. You don't come down to hers. Let me say it straight. You train people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, you'll get it. If you tolerate being the emotional trash can for her chaos, she'll keep dumping on you. If you tolerate being available 24/7s, she'll treat you like a vending machine. Press a button, get a reaction. You want to flip the script? Start making her wait. Start prioritizing your peace. Start becoming unreachable to the version of her that only wants attention, not connection. Here's the real problem. You fear losing her more than you value keeping yourself. That's why you stay available. That's why you stay consistent, even when she's inconsistent. That's why you keep texting even when she's dry. But guess what? That fear of losing her is what makes her lose respect for you. Because if you're willing to abandon your standards to keep her, then you're not a man. You're a mirror of her moods. Respect is born in distance, in restraint, in control. When you don't react to every little thing she does, when you can hold your emotional center, even when she tries to throw you off balance, when you stop needing her attention and start demanding her effort, that's when her eyes change. That's when her voice softens. That's when the chase begins from her side. Let her wonder, let her question, let her feel the distance. That's not manipulation, that's emotional maturity. That's you saying, I'm no longer a slave to connection, I'm loyal to my peace now. And in that peace, you become rare, and rarity, that's what drives her wild. Because she knows that kind of energy can't be bought, borrowed, or replaced. The man who is always available becomes forgettable, but the man who is focused becomes a memory she can't shake. She may not admit it, she may act cold, but behind the scenes, she's checking your story, wondering why you haven't called, stalking your silence, because your distance now speaks louder than your words ever did. And that voice, it echoes. Here's what you need to hear. Her respect doesn't grow when you're convenient. It grows when you're consistent with your standards. When you stop dropping everything for her. When you start walking away from drama. When you respond with patience instead of panic. When you show her, without saying a word, that your time is not a playground. The man who holds back isn't weak, he's wise. He knows that emotional investment must be reciprocated, not assumed. And if she can't match your effort, your focus, your pace, then she can't keep access. It's that simple. You don't have to explain it. You just let your energy become sacred ground. Too much availability is emotional submission, and that's not attractive. That's not masculine. That's not respected. What is respected? A man who chooses himself first, every single time, who puts his craft, his health, his growth, his mission above every single distraction. And yes, that includes her, especially when she's not bringing peace to the table. You want her to see you differently? Start making your time cost something. Start saying no. Start delaying your replies. Start being busy, because a busy man is a valuable man. And a valuable man, he doesn't beg for love, he attracts it. She doesn't lose interest because you changed. She loses interest because you never changed for yourself. You stayed soft when you needed to become strong. You stayed constant when you needed to create contrast. You stayed available when you needed to create space. And now, she treats you like background noise instead of a prize. But the second you start pulling back, not to play games, but to reclaim your power, you'll feel the shift, the tension, the weight of your energy returning. And she'll feel it too. And in that gap, her respect for you is either reborn or replaced by regret. And here's the final truth. You don't need to prove anything to her, you just need to protect your energy. And if she can't respect your time, your focus, your emotional control, then she was never worthy of your presence to begin with.